Welcome back everybody to episode 3 of the Radiant Sports podcast. And it was a big weekend of sport. One of the biggest boxing events of the last decade. The final day of the Premier League season, and we had a Grand Prix in the F1 to add to that as well. So let's get straight into all of this weekend's sporting talking points. And yeah, one place to start, Premier League final day. The Premier League title went down to the wire, and only for about, 3-5 minutes. Obviously, if Man City won, they won the league. If Man City drew and Arsenal won the league. But Man City really put the excitement to bed with about 3 minutes in. Was it Phil Foden scored? And yeah, then I think they went 2 up, and then Everton scored in the Arsenal game. So it was looking bad for Arsenal. However, they got one back before half-time to make it 1-1. And just before half-time in the Man City-West Ham game as well, Kudos scored a brilliant bicycle kick, making that 2-1. So heading into half-time in the title race, things were still close, but at that moment Man City were winning the title. Second half gets going, and Man City, of course, score another goal. Rodri comes in, scores to make it 3-1, which then meant Arsenal were only relying on West Ham scoring 2 goals and Arsenal needing to win when they were drawing at the moment. However, then Havertz did score in the 90th minute to make it 2-1 Arsenal. However, it was too late. Man City won 3-1 and won the Premier League for a 4th season in a row, which is an unbelievable feat. Normally it would be an unbelievable feat, but obviously the amount of money spent and 115 charges that are currently standing against them, which we can't forget until whatever happens with that is resolved. And yeah, unfortunate for Arsenal. Had a great year. When you think of it in the last couple of seasons, they've improved exponentially under Arteta. Some good quality players, and hopefully they keep it up so we see another exciting title race, because it takes a lot to beat this Man City team with Pep, all the quality players they have throughout the starting 11 and the bench. Liverpool, we'll get to Liverpool now actually. It was Jurgen Klopp's last game, and they won 2-0 against Wolves. Jurgen Klopp's send-off game, obviously speeches and celebrations on the pitch after celebrating his legacy that he's made Liverpool Champions League, Premier League along with other titles. And the new manager Arne Slot from Feyenoord is going to be taking the reins over them next year. And again, I hope Liverpool can keep their good players, their forward players really, but I think they need a few defensive reinforcements and attack and midfield options, because this season they brought some players in like McAllister, Szoboszlai, Endo, but they need substitute players for them. They need replacements. They need extra players in every position. Like you look at that Man City team, they have 2 quality players in each position. Arsenal are almost there as well, but for them maybe the number 9, they need an out and out number 9 I think, and then they'll push City even more, which if that's even possible. But yeah, looking forward to the title race next year. Obviously it should be City, Arsenal, Liverpool should be there again if Slot can settle in quickly and get that team up and running, get Salah and everyone to keep Salah first, but get all the players to score some goals. And yeah, it'd be interesting to see if any other teams will join them. Obviously normally Chelsea top 4, bad year again. Tottenham, probably a bad season really. I know it's Andrew's first one, but I think they've got quality players, and if they just put runs together like a run of form, they could. But I still think it's going to be the 3. It's going to be City, Arsenal, Liverpool, maybe in that order as well for the title next year. But yeah, obviously the week before Aston Villa secured top 4 and Champions League football, and they looked on the beach after losing 5-0 to Crystal Palace, who secured a top half finish at the end of the season. Mateta on fire, hat-trick, Eze 2 goals, Elise as well. That front 3, if they can keep those together, I think I'll be challenging for Europa League, Conference League places next year. Good manager, quality players. If they can keep the best players, Eze and Elise, I think they're in for a brilliant season under Oli Glasner. And yeah, so going down the places, obviously Tottenham finished 5th. They beat Sheffield United 3-0 yesterday. Obviously couldn't make Champions League, but finished 5th to secure them. Europa League this year. Obviously, no Europe this year. See what they can achieve in the Europa League next year under Ange Postecoglou. 6th place, Chelsea managed to put some good performances together at the end of the year. Pochettino had a really bad start, and I don't know, kind of like 8-9 games ago, they kind of snuck under the radar, and they put on a good run of form at the end of the season and snuck up to 6th and secured themselves, well, at the moment, depending on results-wise, as it stands, it's Conference League. However, if Man City win the FA Cup on Saturday, Chelsea will get the Europa League spot, and Newcastle in 7th place will get the Conference League spot. However, if Man United win the FA Cup next week, Man United will get the Europa League slot, and Chelsea will get the Conference League spot, and Newcastle will miss out. Expecting Man City to win, so Chelsea Europa League, Newcastle Conference League, after Newcastle themselves won 4-2 on the final day at Brentford. And maybe a disappointing season for Newcastle. I think they were like minimum Europa League, and I think the owners should expect minimum Europa League after Champions League last year, and probably should have got through the group given the start in the Champions League group. But yeah, that's for next season. It's going to be interesting what players they might have to lose due to financial fair play, or what players they can bring in. So interesting for Newcastle. Obviously a lot of injuries this year. Eddie Howe may have been under a bit of scrutiny as well. Let's see if that carries on over to next year, if they have a bad start, or they might have all the players back and be fully fit and be able to challenge for that top 4 again this year. And yeah, and obviously relegation, Sheffield United, Burnley already relegated. Luton weren't officially relegated, but there had to be a 12-goal swing against Forest, and Luton would have to win. Forest had to lose again with a 12-goal swing, and in the end Forest beat Burnley 2-1, and Luton lost 4-2 to Wolves, and guaranteeing them relegation to the Championship. They put up a good fight. I don't think they ever expected to be anywhere near safety, let's be honest. They brought in players that are going to do well in the Championship next year, and they've overperformed realistically. They got a good manager, Rob Edwards. It seems like sounds as anything. Got that stadium is just turned into a bit of a fortress. Like, the big teams didn't like going there and playing against them, which I think was benefiting them. They weren't so good away, which was the issue this year for them really. But yeah, unfortunate for them. And if they keep everything together and don't lose too many players, I can see them back in the Premier League in a couple of years' time at least. But yeah, that's really it. The Premier League season is over. Man City are champions once again. And yeah, obviously the season's not fully over. We still have the FA Cup this weekend. Man City against Man United. Will Ten Hag win some silverware? I'm not too sure. I'm pretty sure City should win and will win fairly easily. This Man City team doesn't look good. The positive for City also, it is their 4th Premier League. It's not like the 4th Premier League in a row, sorry. See, they won more, but there shouldn't be too much of a hangover, because for a lot of the players they've already won Premier Leagues. So it should be business as usual for them to try and win another trophy this year at the domestic double. Also this weekend just gone, congrats on Oxford upsetting arguably Bolton to get promoted to the Championship, and Crawley getting promoted to League One. They finished, what is it, 7th? Let me think of this. How many teams go down? So 3 go up, 4, 5, 6, 7th. Something like that. They finished in the bottom playoff spot in League 2. Defeated MK Dons, battered them, in fact, over aggregate at 8-1, and then put in a good performance over Crewe and get themselves promoted, which is incredible considering they were relegation favourites at the start of the year. So that's great for them. And then this weekend we have the Championship playoff final also between Leeds and Southampton. Leeds battered Norwich in the second leg realistically, deservedly going through, and Southampton as well just outperformed West Brom in that in the second leg. Or is it 3-1 I think? I say battered, they just did stuff well, whereas West Brom just couldn't do anything going forward. They defended well until the first goal went in, and they just had nothing going forward, which led to Southampton getting through. And now it's going to be a really good game. Again, the 3rd and 4th best team in the Championship this year. Leeds, Southampton. Be a great game, and excited for that as well. Just this Sunday as well, we had the Emilia Romagna Grand Prix. I never get the pronunciation of that right, but let's see. And it was an interesting race-ish. So Max Verstappen won, Lando Norris in third, and Charles Leclerc finishes off the podium. But in the end, if you look at the timings, Max only beat Lando by 0.7 seconds. Another 5 laps, Lando may have caught him and overtaken him. However, nothing really happened throughout the race. I can tell you Albon's wheel didn't get bolted down correctly, so he had to pit and then got penalties due to that. Nothing else happened. There wasn't many overtakes. Perez went long on his first stint, so he was getting overtaken by all the early pit stoppers in front of him. That was the only overtaking I can really remember or tell you about. And then Leclerc was potentially catching Lando. Lando pulled away, and then with the last 10 laps, you're like, oh, Lando's kind of gaining on Max, which kind of made it interesting for the last 10 laps. But that was literally always happening for the last 10 laps, and really all that happened for the whole race. So yeah, not much to talk about really, apart from the fact that either McLaren and maybe Ferrari, obviously not in this race so much, but people are catching up Max. Are they catching up, or does Red Bull falling back and not performing like it was? Max was complaining about issues with the car all throughout the weekend, so you never know. And this weekend, it is the Monaco Grand Prix, the staple of the F1 calendar, realistically. Ran the streets of Monaco, iconic race. Sometimes not the best race due to, well, actually similar to the last race. No, you can't really overtake around the thin streets. If you qualify well, you're going to do well in the race, realistically, unless any crashes or failures. It pushes drivers to the limit, obviously the tight corners. But most of the grid are good enough to do it and finish the race. So I think this, again, as it is with Monaco, always qualifying is key, and again I would favour Max to qualify first and therefore win the race this weekend. But you never know. In qualifying as well, Piastri did qualify second, had a free place grid penalty, but the McLaren's qualified second and third. But yeah, it was interesting, and we'll see if McLaren can catch up with Red Bull again this weekend. And yeah, and not forgetting, this weekend just gone, we had the undisputed fight between Tyson Fury and Alexander Usyk, which I've gone into more detail on my YouTube channel, which you can go check out. However, I can't not mention it again and keep talking about it really. So obviously Alexander Usyk is now the undisputed heavyweight champion, and what a performance from the Ukrainian fighter. Great fight. Start, Alexander Usyk comes out, takes centre of the ring, just jabbing Fury back, quick feet. Fury not doing much, showboating around to the crowd. Expected from Fury, it's part of his persona, but was it needed? Could he have won those rounds and won the fight after it went to a split decision victory for Usyk? If he took those first rounds, I said he could have won the fight. But if it's part of his personality, I guess people can't argue with it. However, I think it wasn't needed, and in the second round was the only time he started to jab in the end of the second round. He lost the first 2 rounds, he wasn't doing anything. If he just started that a round earlier, he wins the fight, but it is what it is. But however, then Fury, once he got that jab going, looked unstoppable. 5 rounds in a row I think I had him winning, and he looked unstoppable. I was thinking to myself, fair play, man. It's like, you are quality and you're showing how good you are, and you're making it look easy. Obviously there was a huge size difference, but then Tyson Fury was just jabbing him, dancing around him. Usyk wasn't really able to hold the centre of the ring anymore. Fury's just long levers were just, he just had the reach, and he could dodge out the way of Usyk's attacks with relative ease. Yeah, all Fury until the 8th round. Usyk came out strong, landed a big left hook, bloodied up Fury's nose. Don't know if it's broken, looked really bad. Kind of, I guess, should have given Fury like, right, this is what he can do, let's keep it going, play it safe, just keep doing what I'm doing. However, Usyk, he just wasn't going to take that. Usyk came on strong second half of the fight. He always does, and always has, and probably always will. But he's like, no, this is my time, I'm not letting you take this away from me. Then in the 9th, arguably, could be arguing myself, and I've seen many other people argue it, the fight should have just been stopped and Usyk should have won by knockout. He wobbled Fury, did get a knockdown in the end, a standing count given by the ref against Fury, saved him from getting knocked out. Arguably, if he didn't do that, should he have just come in and gave it and called the fight off? Fury for about 20-30 seconds was bouncing along the ropes, taking big shots from Usyk to the face. Not much defence, and he wasn't thrown back. If that was the other way around, the ref probably would have stopped it. If that was Fury and Usyk, the ref would have stopped it. Should this fight, and obviously in the ref's head, what Wilder's done to him and he's got back up, should that play a part? Never know, but he did give a knockdown, standing count to Fury. However, it was the end of the round, so then he had another minute to recover, which he obviously needed, because then in the 10th, really took it off, just got himself together and had to go for it in the last 2 rounds. Fury, I think, won the 11th, and then for me, it was all down to the final round, and Usyk just wanted it. You could tell that throughout the second half of the fight, he just wanted it more, and he deserved to win. Happy for the guy. He couldn't be a better champion, ambassador for the sport, the heavyweight champion everyone looks up to. Couldn't be a better guy really for it. He's seems a standout bloke, and yeah, Alexander Usyk, undisputed heavyweight champion. Obviously they're going to run it back supposedly in October. Happily see that again. That honestly, Saturday night the fight lived up to expectations, ebbed and flowed, and the better man came out victorious. So it'll be good to run it back, see how Fury reacts to a first defeat of his career, and see if Usyk can do the same again, as a champion should do. And yeah, there's plenty more undercard talk on my YouTube channel. If you head over there, I break down the rest of the big fights on the undercard. And yeah, this weekend, boxing's coming thick and fast. We've got some quality cards coming up thick and fast over this time of the year at the moment. I mentioned Friday night there is a fight. Lawrence Coley is going out to Bridgerweight to fight the champion Lucas Rozansky, who previously you may have seen on Sky. He beat Alan Babic in this new Bridgerweight division there is. He fights in Poland. He doesn't really come out of Poland. He's old and fat. He wouldn't be anywhere near good enough to win a cruiserweight title. He's nowhere near good enough to win anything at heavyweight. So yeah, stuck here at Bridgerweight because no one fights at Bridgerweight. However, Lawrence Coley, former cruiserweight champion, coming off the loss to Bidham Smith, people thought he's going to rematch him. However, I think they've decided Coley, it's time for him to go up to heavyweight. He's always had the frame for heavyweight really, 6'5". He can bulk up and will be a big heavyweight, and maybe his style is suited better for heavyweight with the holding. Obviously you see Fury's done it for a lot of his career, the jab and hold. However, it hasn't worked so much with Lawrence Coley and it's become pretty horrible to watch. So maybe he's the time out, reinvent himself, have this knockover. He'll win the Bridgerweight bout realistically, let's be honest, and if he doesn't or struggles, there's serious problems there. He's got a new trainer as well, and yeah, I think he'll win this, and this again is the step up. It's the thing about Bridgerweight, no one really wanted it, and now people are realising, like Coley, you just use it as like to stay active whilst you're bulking up to heavyweight, because if there's no point going to heavyweight and really if you're not going to go straight into the top and you're still really small whilst you're taking these fights, so you can stay active and bulk up against an easier opponent in the middle, and whilst after this you can carry on bulking and you get to a certain weight for this and so on, if you get my point. And let's talk about Jara Pataya, who won on Saturday night, maybe taking the stepping stone to take the time and keep active whilst bulking up. So yeah, expect Coley to win and then probably move up to heavyweight, and I think there'd be some good fights obviously on Sky. Sky have got a few mid-level British heavyweights obviously. They got Clark and Wardley probably rematching. Martin Bakole I think is still on Sky, and Hughie Fury is there. So some fights for Coley to see if he is at the top level at heavyweight like he has been at cruiserweight. But yeah, interesting to see what choice and route they take due to his matchmaking after this fight. However, the biggest fight of the weekend is Josh Taylor, Jack Catterall 2. We've been waiting so long. I'm trying to see what date was this last fight at. 2022. It's been over 2 years, and they've had the rematch booked multiple times on different promotions. couldn't happen. People's pulling out through injury. Now it's here. It's on DAZN. The rematch is here. Josh Taylor, Jack Catterall. One of the biggest robberies in whole of boxing history. You've got to be honest, it's not even just British boxing history. Jack Catterall won that fight, and they gave it to Josh Taylor on points. Josh Taylor was undisputed super lightweight champion. Jack Catterall was the challenger. He should have been undisputed champion. However, he was robbed on the scorecards. Josh Taylor retained, and the hate, as the tagline says, hate runs deep. And yeah, it's going to be a brilliant fight. Obviously, they come out of it. Josh Taylor, then the organisations took most of his belts away, so he only ended up with one. In his last fight, he lost to Teofimo Lopez, who came up from lightweight. In a good performance by Teo, not so good. Was it good by Teo, or was Josh underperformed in that fight? You could argue either way. I think Teo was just the better man on the night. So Josh Taylor now has got no bout, so Jack Catterall can't even win a world title still, which is devastating for him. But again, then if he comes through Josh Taylor, he's got that big scalp, and then should be fighting for world titles. And yeah, since then, Jack Catterall, that's the one. I'm getting confused there, mixed up. Jack Catterall's had a few fights, signed with Matchroom, had a few lower level fights, knockover fights really. He should have won them all and did win them all. And now it's the one he's been waiting for, we've been waiting for. Can he get, you've got to say revenge, he got robbed. Can he repeat the performance and get the victory this time around? Or is Josh Taylor now, he knows what he's expecting, will we get a vintage Josh Taylor performance that made him undisputed champion? We don't know. It's going to be a lot of needle. They both hate each other, and it's a top British rivalry at the moment. It's what we want to see. It's a fight in the UK. British fight fans getting what they want, and this should be an incredible main event. Undercard looking pretty good as well, actually. We have a vacant British title fight. It's a co-main, or it's down as co-main. I'm pretty sure it's co-main because it is a good fight. We have Chev Clark, the Olympic silver medalist at cruiser, fighting off against Ellis Zorro. Ellis Zorro is coming out off a knockout loss against the champ Jai Optaia, which it was a big step up for him. This is more to the level he's at, so it's going to be interesting to see where Zorro is at in this fight, because Chev Clark's got a lot of expectation. 8-0 Olympian, they're moving him quick, and he's probably above British level at the moment, but they're going the traditional route, British, probably European next, and so on. But yeah, is Ellis Zorro at this level still? Because it was a big step up to that Jai Optaia fight, let me tell you that. And again, unfortunately for him, I think Chev Clark is a step up too, and a step too far. I think Chev Clark he's looked good in his last couple of fights, and Chev Clark should get the victory here, I think, fairly easily. I think he'll stop him as well. Like he stopped Tommy McCarthy in his last fight. He looked really good in that. Also, we have Paddy Donovan against Lewis Ritson, who's, I'd say, being forced to move up in weight to take the fight because he's a name, and Paddy Donovan is one for the future. He looks a real prospect. In the last couple of fights I've seen him, he looks really good, and I think Lewis Ritson has come up in weight to get a payday. They probably paid him a bit more because it's the name for Paddy Donovan to take, and Paddy Donovan should take the win and move on to bigger things, and hopefully fairly quickly, because he looks really good. And also, got to mention, we've got Gary Cully on this card. Obviously, it's his second fight back after his loss. Got a win in his last fight after the big knockout loss, which halted his progression really, but he was moving at a fast pace. He looked good. I think the loss may have been good for him in the long run, and slowed down a bit, and we're taking it slowly with him at lightweight. But I think he's a good talent, and it'll be interesting to see where he goes after this fight and what happens in this fight. But yeah, I think that's everything from me today. Thank you for watching episode 3 of the Radiant Sports podcast, and hope to see you guys next time. Peace.